So nowadays, most people upgrade their phones every 3 or 4 years, which means many of you guys on the iPhone 13 are now eyeing on upgrades, and this year the obvious question is, should you jump all the way to the iPhone 17? Let's break it all down because the changes in 4 years are substantial, and if you're holding on to an iPhone 13, the leap in everyday usage is going to be instantly noticeable. The iPhone 13 still looks like a classic iPhone with the sharp flat size, the glossy glass back that loves to collect fingerprints, and of course, that big notch at the top of the display. It was a great design back in 2021, but next to the iPhone 17, it now feels, well, a bit last decade. The iPhone 17 keeps the aluminium frame, but introduces Apple's newer design language with slightly rounded corners that make it just a bit more comfortable to hold, slimmer bezels, and of course the dynamic island instead of the notch. I'll admit, I did criticize the island when it first debuted with the 14 Pro, but Apple spent the last couple of years baking in some seriously slick animations and live activity controls that make it far more than just a fancy cutout. Even little touches like name drop contact sharing or the way music playback expands into the island looks fantastic, and developers are starting to integrate it more deeply into their apps. Your notch will still work just fine, but it's definitely going to look more outdated as more apps lean into the island to display alerts, timers, and background activities. The back glass is now a silky matte finish instead of the 13's fingerprint magnet glass, and the camera module has been refreshed with a new vertical layout. If you use a case 99% of the time, you won't feel the texture every day, but visually it gives the 17 a more premium edge, and it resists smudges far better than the shiny panel on the 13. Apple also introduced Ceramic Shield 2 on the 17's panel. They claim triple the scratch resistance compared to the 13's original Ceramic Shields. I'm not about to drag keys across my screen to test this, that's what JRig everything's for, but in theory you should see fewer micro scratches from dust or grit in your pocket, and that's a real quality of life upgrade if you plan to keep your phone for another 3 or 4 years. Colour choices are overall better as well, though this is subjective. The 17 comes in lavender, mist blue, sage, white and black. Gone are the slightly off midnight starlight shades, I hated those. Black is actually black, white is pure white, and the other shades are pretty nice, though I will admit, the product red iPhone 13 was a great colour option, and unfortunately Apple no longer makes any red iPhones. Where the 17 really starts to flex is the display. The 13 had a 6.1-inch OLED display with a standard 60Hz refresh rate and around 800 nits of typical brightness. 4 years later, the 17 bumps that up to 6.3 inches, and it's a Super Retina XDR panel Pro Motion for adaptive refresh rate up to 120Hz. Scrolling, gaming, even swiping between home screens feels dramatically smoother, and once you get used to it, you'll never want to go back. It also supports an always-on display for glanceable info like the time widgets or live activities, and outdoor brightness leaps to scorching 3000 nits. That's insane, and even in harsh sunlight you can read this display easily. Yes, even during that one sunny week we occasionally get in the UK, the combination of a higher refresh rate, higher brightness, and slimmer bezels make a huge difference. Quick reminder while we're here, if you're finding this breakdown helpful, please subscribe and hit the new hype button. It genuinely helps a small channel like mine grow and keeps these deep dives coming straight to your feeds. Anyway, under the hood the leap is enormous. The 13 runs on the A15 Bionic with 4GB of RAM, the 17 packs the brand new A19 chipset built on Apple's 3rd generation 3nm process paired with 8GB of RAM. The CPU is faster, the 5-core GPU is stronger, and each GPU core now includes a neural accelerator for on-device AI activities. This extra horsepower isn't just for bragging rights, the A19 also enables Apple Intelligence, Apple's suite of generative AI features coming with iOS 26 and beyond, things like smart image editing, natural language text tools, and proactive suggestions that happen entirely on the device. The iPhone 13 simply won't get these features, and Apple's already confirmed the older chips lack the neural bandwidth to support these, so if you care about future software features, this is a big deal. Battery life also has massively improved. Apple rates the iPhone 17 for up to 30 hours of video playback compared to 19 on the 13. In real-world usage, you can expect at least 2 extra hours of screen on time, and that difference is something you feel every single day. Do remember though, the difference will be even bigger if your battery health isn't so great. Charging is quicker as well, 50% in just 20 minutes with a 40W adapter, and faster 25W MagSafe or Qi 2 wireless charging if you prefer to go cable free. The 13 tops out 20W wired and 15W MagSafe, so not only will the 17 last longer on a single charge, it will also refill far faster when you need a quick top up. Cameras are where 4 years of upgrades really add up. The 13's 12MP wide and ultra wide were great in 2021, but the 17 now has dual 48 megapixel cameras. The main fusion lens supports a 2x optical quality crop modes that effectively gives you 3 usable focal lengths, 0.5x, 1x, 2x, without the softness of digital zoom. The new 48 megapixel ultra-wide finally gains autofocus and macro supports, letting you capture dramatic close-ups the 13 simply can't. Smart HDR's improved, low-light shots have more detail thanks to the photonic engine, and overall color science is more natural with better skin tones. On the front, you go from a 12 megapixel fixed focus camera to an 18 megapixel center stage lens with autofocus and ultra stabilized video. There's even a square sensor so you can shoot landscape or portrait without rotating your phone. And for creators, Apple's added dual capture, allowing simultaneous 4K Dolby Vision recording from the front and back cameras. Perfect for reaction videos or vlogs where you want to capture both your face and what's in front of you. Feature-wise, the 17 inherits the action button and camera control from the 16. The action button replaces the old mute switch and can be customized to launch the camera, start a voice note, trigger a shortcut, or basically anything that fits your workflow. Camera control is a small capacitive pad that lets you zoom or adjust focus with a swipe, though I've really only used this to open the camera. Connectivity also takes a massive leap forward. Inside is Apple's new N1 networking chipset with Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, dual frequency GPS, and Threads for smart home accessories. 5G performance is improved with a new Qualcomm modem, and there's still second generation ultra-wideband for precise Find My tracking. And yes, the 17 uses Type-C. You still get USB 2 transfer speeds. Apple saves USB 3 for the Pro models, but at least your charging cables now match your MacBook, iPad, and pretty much every other gadget you own. Also, in certain countries, the 17 is eSIM only, so if you're coming from the 13 with a physical SIM, be ready for that change. And by the way, here's how the speakers and mics compare. So here's a mic test with the iPhone 17. It should sound pretty similar, but here's how it sounds. And here's a quick mic test on the iPhone 13. Let me know how this sounds. Now, how does this all translate into everyday usage? Coming from the iPhone 13, the jump to the 17 is instantly noticeable. The screen is brighter and far smoother, the battery comfortably lasts longer, and the cameras deliver crispier shots with better low-light performance. Even small touches like the matte back resisting fingerprints or the action button launching a favorite application add up to a phone that simply feels more modern and more enjoyable. The A19 chipset means you'll get years more iOS updates, and as Apple Intelligence features roll out over the next couple of years, you won't be left behind. The 13 will still get basic updates for a while, but AI features are a hard cutoff, and that's something to consider if you like having all of Apple's newest tricks. What makes this upgrade even more tempting is Apple's pricing strategy. The 17 starts at $799 or £799 for 256 gigs of storage as standard, double what the iPhone 13 originally came with at the same starting price. So should a 4-year-old iPhone 13 owner upgrade to the iPhone 17? Well, if your 13 is still in perfect shape and you're happy with it, you can absolutely keep using it. It's still a solid device and Apple's going to keep supporting it for a year or two, but at this point I would say it's time to upgrade. You're getting a phone that's faster, brighter, and far more feature-proof, with camera capabilities that genuinely outclass the 13 in every scenario. The addition of ProMotion, Always On, and Apple Intelligence, though it's not as useful right now, does make this a generational leap forward. I'll leave links below to buy the iPhone 17. Before you click away, make sure to subscribe and tap the hype button so you don't miss any of my upcoming deep dives. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.